Today is Tuesday, December 13th, and we're taking things one day at a time here on the Outside the Oval podcast, the newest running experience on the internet. You can find my show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube, as well as on the Instagram and Twitter pages at Outside the Oval. And then any questions you may have may be directed to my email, outsidetheoval@gmail.com. But today I have another jam-packed episode to share with you all, as I am bringing you guys not one, not two, but three interviews with three very influential names and voices in the Texas running community. To start today's show, Jonathan Chung from Texas A&M will join me to break down his experiences as a high school distance runner in the Longhorn State, as well as his past season in College Station that resulted in a trip to the NCAA Cross Country National Championship meet. After Jonathan, James Allen, he'll join the show and share how he developed his passion for the sport, and more specifically within the DFW area. From reigniting the growing Celina Runners to co-running multiple other run clubs across the DFW metro area, James is one of the most prominent names in the DFW running community, and this is one conversation you will not want to miss. And then, of course, to close out today's show, we will transition into an interview with the Texas Track Dad, who can be found on Instagram and Twitter, and he will share with us his unique story as to how he became a household name in the Texas track and field community. But before we jump into today's show, Outside the Oval special Texas Takeover episode is sponsored by the Texas Independence Relay. I am incredibly excited to have the most unique relay race in the great state of Texas on board for today's episode. And I'm looking forward to sharing more about the race with you all shortly. But for now, I'll take you to my conversation with 2022 NCAA National Championship qualifier Jonathan Chung. Joining me today is Jonathan Chung from Texas A&M. This season went incredibly well for Jonathan as he qualified to his first ever NCAA championship meet, finishing sixth at the South Central Regional, But not only is Jonathan an Aggie, but he also attended Allen High School, where he had a stellar high school career and is another perfect guest for this week's Texas Takeover. Jonathan, it is great to have you on the show today.
Great to be here, Gavin.
And as eager as I am to ask you about your NCAA championship experience, I'm going to restrain myself for a moment. And for the time being, let's focus on the Longhorn State itself and your high school experiences first. But first, we got to start with this. Jonathan, how did you begin running and what kind of went into that?
So I started running kind of, it honestly started off like as a joke. Two of my closest friends in middle school, it was the 8th grade, they told me that I should try out for the cross country team there, and I was like, okay, I'll do it. I just wanted to hang out with my friends more often and stuff. So then I did it, and then I ended up really liking running. So then I guess it just carried on through high school, and I'm here where I'm at today.
Yeah, definitely has seemed to work out for you as you've had a pretty good career. And as I mentioned, you went to Allen High School and you had a great high school career there. Could you tell me a little bit about your high school career in general, perhaps a little bit more about from a training aspect and a racing perspective?
Mm-hmm. So my coach in high school believed in heart rate training. I wasn't fully sort of into it just because heart rate training is very, very hard to get right and get down. So I kind of just did my own thing. But being a part of Allen High School and just a culture of sports, just growing up around it all the time, it was definitely I think a pretty good upbringing, being a part of a good team and good sport like that. Regarding training and stuff, like I said, I just kind of did my own stuff. My coach would give us workout stuff which weren't based off of heart rate, but sort of I guess I've always sort of been a mileage person. I just really like getting in mileage and stuff. So
yeah, that was clearly indicative this summer. You got a few 100-mile weeks in there. I'm not sure how many in a row you strung off, but that was really awesome to see. But I didn't get to run in Texas as long as you did, but I'm pretty familiar with some of the big names and events and some of the cool venues. So one thing I am eager to know is whether it's a certain cross country course or specific track meet, what are some of your favorite places to race in Texas while you were in high school?
Uh, I'd say that my favorite place to race would probably be McNeil, the Invitational, just because it was like the state preview meet, and I felt like it was just such a large meet, and it was the atmosphere there was just insane. Um, Also like Nike South, it was a bit of a different course than like people are normally used to running throughout the season, unless you ran like the Nike South Invitational. Um, but it's just like three 1 mile loops, and they're it's like it's very like windy and stuff, so it's kind of different than all the other courses and stuff. So.
Yeah, I definitely. I ran both of those races my senior year. A lot of
Mhm.
fun. I believe you were in both of those. And as we mentioned multiple times already, for those of you unfamiliar with Allen High School, I believe the numbers are pretty accurate. But as of 2021, Allen was the biggest high school in Texas, and really has a knack for producing some really incredible athletes, like you previously mentioned. Uh, I'm sure you hear this all the time, but most notably, Heisman Trophy winner and first overall pick of the 2019 NFL draft, Kyler Murray, he graduated from
Mhm.
Allen High School. But I
Yep.
do think that's not only a testament to Allen High School, but to the state of Texas as well, because it seems like Texas is a hotbed for some of the best athletes in the country. And so I'll leave this next question a little open ended. Growing up in a state like Texas, coming through a school like Allen, maybe even putting running aside for a moment to make it simple, what was your experience like growing up in Texas and maybe specifically Allen like for you?
I loved it. I actually love living in Texas. Everything's just so much bigger here compared to, I guess, like everywhere else on the East Coast. I have a lot of family, like in New York and stuff, and like visiting there compared to like the housing and stuff that we have here is just so much different. Um, being like from Allen, so it's a nice little town, nice little city. It's like they're just like just north of Dallas, sort of like a suburban sort of place.
Yeah, and moving past that, you did make the decision to stay home for school and attend Texas A&M. So, what have your 2.5 years in College Station been like for you?
They've been good. Um, I kind of wish that I guess, took summer training a little more seriously. My going into freshman year and then also like my sophomore year, because like right now I'm really starting to see some like breakthroughs and stuff. So I wish that I could have changed that about my first half of my college career, but can't do anything about it. Gotta just look forward, you know.
Yeah, and as I mentioned before, you qualified out to Stillwater, so clearly that summer training is working for you. You did get to race at the NCAA Cross Country National Championships, and you qualified out of the South Central Regional at home in College Station on that beautiful course I got to run this
Yep.
year. Uh,
hmm
so that race at Stillwater, the South Central race in College Station, and from the experiences you were afforded, could you tell me a little bit about that experience as a whole?
So starting from the beginning, I guess, qualifying for regionals, I really didn't, or qualifying for nationals through regionals. I really didn't think it was like in the cards for me. I don't think anyone did. Um, but I mean, our team this year has been like super strong, so we were hoping to pull off an upset against Texas. Obviously that didn't pan out, but I qualified with I think I finished sixth place, and gosh, this is just running that race and just feeling the way I did during the race and like after the race with like everyone there, and obviously like the home crowd and everything. It was just like electric. It was just insane. And nationals didn't go as expected. I got like a cold or something the night before, so I didn't sleep at all um, the night prior to the race. So that wasn't very great. But I'm hoping that next year I can improve on my performance.
For sure. And if we take things off the course a little bit before I let you go, I think one thing I've noticed about you on social media is that you post a lot of music. So I'm assuming you're really into music. And instead of asking you who your favorite artist is or what your favorite song is, I'll ask you this instead. And this is kind of putting you on the spot. But if you had an artist if I gave you a choice, Jonathan, you have to choose an artist to sing a song about your life. Who would it be and why?
Ooh, dang. I don't know. Uh, ooh, let's see. Probably like probably like Kanye, but like not current Kanye, because current Kanye is a little crazy. Um, uh, maybe like 20 2010 ish Kanye, you know?
Vintage Kanye for sure. Great choice. I
Yep.
love it. And I think I did notice, or at least remember noticing, that he does seem to take up a few of the posts that you have made. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm not sure. But before I let you go, I think one of my favorite parts of Texas has got to be the food. So I moved here in 2019. One of the first things I remember my parents telling me, "Hey, there's going to be great food in Texas." Um, I think the fact that I'm a stone's throw from a Whataburger and just 20 minutes from an In-N-Out is astonishing to me still. And there's still a million different incredible barbecue smokehouses just a few miles from my house, as well as breakfast restaurants that serve chicken fried chicken, which is my favorite breakfast meal, and that's absolutely incredible. So my question to you, my last one of the day, what are some of your favorite places to eat down here in Texas?
Uh, I like I like a lot of Asian food. So probably in College Station, my favorite place would probably be Yummy Yummy because that's just like it's like a Mongolian grill, and then it's also like they have sushi there, cheap sushi. And then back home in like a neighboring town in Plano, there's this one place called Dumpling House, and they have like the best dumplings I've ever had in my life, and they're just so good. And sesame chicken. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not too far from Plano. I might have to go give that a try. Not to put you on the spot again, but if I had to ask you, I put this question on my Strava today. I'm not sure if you noticed, but what would you rather eat, Whataburger or In-N-Out?
People aren't gonna like this if you're from Texas, but I think Whataburger is overrated. I think In-N-Out is like much better.
It's
So
a good
so
opinion. Yeah,
In-N-Out.
I've had a friend one time when I was talking about Whataburger, they told me, "I'll save you some time and just go to In-N-Out." So definitely can resonate with that. Absolutely not a bad choice. But Jonathan, that's all I got. I'm glad we could do this, and I really
Yep.
appreciate you coming on today.
Of course. Glad to be here. Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Outside the Ovals, Texas Takeover is proudly sponsored by the Texas Independence Relay, the premier overnight running relay in the heart of Texas. Created by the husband and wife duo, the Texas Independence Relay is the most unique racing experience in the state. The 36 leg, nearly 200-mile race takes you through beautiful Texas cities such as Gonzales, Columbus, Eagle Lake, Katy, and much more. The Texas Independence Relay is a blast, and in years past, they've had teams of runners from both Texas A&M and the University of Texas, and I've heard only great things. If you're a former college team looking for the best way to reconnect or simply looking for something to get back into shape for, the Texas Independence Relay is the best way to catch up, hang out, and run just like old times, providing everybody a classic collegiate team like experience packed into a single weekend. The TIR is on the last weekend in March every year, finishing in Houston, which is a great time for all you Northerners that need a reprieve from the cold. For more information, be sure to check the race out at www.lonestarrelay.com/TIR. And for the next segment of today's show, we will transition into my conversation with James Allen, who is also an alumni of the Texas Independence Relay and will share his experience with the race next. Joining me next is James Allen, and I think the story of how I met James is a pretty interesting one, and really encapsulates how beautiful our running community is, and especially here in the DFW area. But James, thanks for coming on and talk with me for a little bit today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Good seeing you.
Absolutely. And first things first, I met James through our local run club at which at the time really only had five, maybe 6 to 7 runners, and it's really blossomed since. And we call it the Celina Runners. And in fact, we're both wearing the new shirts that we got this year. Really like these, very comfortable. Glad we invested in them. But whenever I'm back home, I am sure I don't miss a run. But James, could you tell me a little bit about that and how that all got started?
Yeah, so Robin, my wife, and I, we moved to Celina back in 2018, early 2018, and we like to run. We moved from Frisco, and so we had a couple other run groups we're a part of there. And living in Celina, it's probably a 30-minute drive to our other run groups. So we're like, hey, we run every day at just about anyway, so let's try to get some roots where we live and maybe run here. So did some Facebook research, some other online research, and found that there was a existing Facebook group called Celina Runners, but there wasn't a lot of traction for a couple of years on it. It looked like maybe a year or two. So I just posted on there like, "Hey, anybody here still run?" And one of the ladies, she responded, and within like a week, she gave me all admin rights and stuff like that. And so between me, Robin, and Scott Jansen, that's how I actually met Scott first. He wanted to kind of help with the group. He was in it, and was trying to find people to run with at the time too. And so when we moved, that we were the three people that started running more frequently in the group. And then it's like you said, it's just blossomed. We've got a good core of people in Celina, maybe about 5 to 10 people that show up on average. Various paces. Right now, it's really hard to find, set paces, but we do our best, and we're hoping that it continues to grow. So that's kind of 2018 to now. It's 2022.
Yeah, it's awesome. But like you mentioned, this isn't the only club you're a part of in the DFW area. So could you tell me a little bit about those other clubs you're a part of and why you choose to participate in those if they're so far away?
Yeah, I definitely can, and very passionate about running. I guess I don't want to tell you, I don't want this to be a 3-hour podcast, but started running for after high school, basically went to college, and unfortunately I didn't run track or anything like that in college. Just, did college things. And then after college, I put on some weight, working life, not as active. So I was probably around 200 pounds. So I gained about 20, 25 pounds. And my wife and I, we started running. I think she wanted me to start running, so she joined me. So then we started running there, doing a little bit of 5K, small things like that. We moved to Dallas. I think it was 2011-ish, 2010. And our first run group that we joined, and never a part of a run group before, so it was very nervous. Just meeting new people, things like that. Thursday night social run, which was put on by Luke's Locker, which is a well-known local run store around here. But anyways, yeah, 2012 Thursday night social run, I became like somewhat of a co-leader in there. And so from 2012 to now, Thursday night social run's our main run group. Craig Ranch Running Club, I'm a co-leader for. I lead runs on Mondays there. We have a pace team for local half marathons around DFW. We pace quite a few. So between that, and I started like dabbling in triathlons. So Thursday night social run tri unit is another group. So we'll see how that goes. But Craig Ranch Running Club, Thursday night social run, and Celina Runners are our main groups.
That's awesome. And across the DFW area, I feel like the running community is so diverse, so potent right now, especially a lot of people getting involved. And I really hope that translates to the Celina Runners. And someday when I come back from college, I really hope that, oh, wow, there's too many people here. We can't fit in the parking lot of the Wooden Penguin. We'll get to that a little bit later. But there are so many great races to run in too. And I know you've done your fair share of them. So I'd love to know what are some of your favorite races, and could you tell us just a little bit about those?
Yeah, yeah. So I have a couple of favorites, of course. I guess I'm very partial to the Cowtown, which is in Fort Worth. That was my very first full marathon I ran, um, and that was back in 2013. So if you've ever been to Fort Worth, uh, you know it's slightly different from Dallas, even though they refer to DFW as one general metroplex or one area. But Dallas and Fort Worth are totally different, just from environment and just the people are different. But so I love the Cowtown. That's normally around March, which is around my birthday, so it's kind of cool there. Um, and let's see, the BMW Dallas Marathon, which is this weekend. Is also another good local race. It's the biggest one around in the Dallas area. So, as far as some small races, we've got some with Amped. We run with them. I like some festive races. Jingle Bell, which is at the Hilton Anatole downtown. It's a local 5K around Christmas time. I like to dress up. We will. I guess we're going as the Grinch this year, or I
That's
am, and I'm
awesome.
pushing my dog Mac, and he's going to dress up as Max. Um, so yeah, there's a lot of local races. Depends on what your training plan is. There's some trail races. I don't do a lot of trail races, but there's some Frisco Trail Race. Um, as far as that goes,
Yeah,
I
for
can
sure.
I can tell you more about them later.
For sure, yeah. And from a college athlete's perspective, when I saw what goes into a road race, like the ones you participate in, the one I kind of ran alongside you, I really realized, wow, this is like a whole nother atmosphere. And I kind of fell in love with it. And definitely it's going to be something I do after my college career ends. But the preparation that goes into each road race is different. From one race, maybe a marathon, it's different than a road 5K. So, could you tell me a little bit about what goes into your pre race routine, such as what food you eat the night before and how you prepare the week leading up?
Yeah, yeah. So probably around Thursdays, I'll start, I guess, carbo loading. Not so much Thursday and Friday. Those 2 days, I'll do some carbo loading. I won't drink any. Try not to drink any alcohol, and just try to eat really clean and better. Um, I don't really get into the macro dieting or anything like that. I'm at the age where I'm running for fun and really enjoying just being around the people and supporting everybody else around. Like I said in the past, I'm a pacer, so this weekend I'm pacing the 3:45 at BMW Dallas. So I just want to keep everybody going. So I don't really race per se, and don't really drill down on the nutrition, but just eat the carbs and try not to ingest that much bad food.
Oh yeah, for sure. And so you're not one to eat a loaf of bread maybe 3 days leading up to a race to carbo load in that way.
I love bread, but not a loaf, no sir.
hmm My high school coach would do that. We'd be at like a Saturday meet or a Friday meet, maybe one of the two, and it would be the race the next day or 2 days, and he'd be eating a loaf of bread. And after a few years, we were just like, yeah, that's Coach Krebs. And I
That's amazing.
I never knew if it worked or not, so I was kind of curious to see if you had ever done that. But it seems to work for him because he's had some great success as well.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Being a vegetarian too. I didn't say that, but I don't eat meat. But yeah, so I'll eat as many veggies as I can, and of course the carbs.
yeah, that'll definitely help. And redirecting things back to the Celina Runners real quick, you actually started somewhat of your own race, or at least you were instrumental and part of growing it. So some sort of relay in downtown Celina. Could you tell us a little bit about that and what goes into that event every year?
For sure, yeah. So Katie and Taylor, they own Little Wooden Penguin, and with the run group, we frequent there every month, at least once a month there on Wednesdays when we run. And I was talking with her, and I told her a little bit about a beer mile, and that's what the race is. It's basically you run a quarter mile, you drink a beer, run a quarter mile, repeat 4 times, and first one to finish wins. Obviously you got to be of age to participate. So Taylor put a little twist on it, so she just called it a relay, and it actually was. I was surprised the first time about 2 years ago that we did the event. I was surprised by the turnout. There was a lot of people there, and everybody had fun. So that is fun to do. There's all kinds of variations of this. I mean, there's an official one that's on the track. There's all kinds of rules, and there's some professional athletes out there for the beer mile.
Yeah, that's definitely one that I want to do when I am of age. Definitely going to come home and at least form a team maybe with the Celina Runners. That'd be a lot of fun. But
That
speaking
would
of
be.
relays, you have actually participated in the race that is sponsoring today's show, the Texas Independent Relays, which is taking
Cool.
place on March 25th and 26th this coming year for everyone at home. Could you tell them a little bit about your experience and what you liked about that event?
Yeah. Matter of fact, I've participated in it for 2 years. 2016 was my first year with my wife. In 2017, we did it. We participated again. We were affiliated with the TSHA, Texas State Historical Association, with UNT, where my wife is an alumni from, and they hosted us, our team, and that event was amazing. And of course, because it's a historical team that we're a part of, so they had designated drivers that all we had to do was run, which was really cool. And if you know anything about TIR, and you're a history buff, that is great, because it starts in Gonzales. You run about 200 miles from there to Memorial Park around Houston, and it's a 24-hour duration. And I think ours, we had 8 people on our relay team. I think you can have up to 12. And I averaged out through the 24 hours about 24 miles for running. So you alternate legs. I think there's 36, 37 legs, varying miles. Some are 3 miles, some are 6 miles, I think. And you just rotate for 24 hours. So it's really fun. And I would definitely say to not only enjoy the run, but pay attention to the markers around. I mean, there's a lot of history there, and that's the purpose of the race.
Yeah, Jay and his wife put on an excellent event. It's something I learned about a month ago, and I've done a lot of reading into it, and certainly something I'd like to do someday. And it's awesome that you got to experience that as well and had a good time doing it. But you actually kind of shifting gears again. You let me wear your Nike Alpha Flies for a run before a race one time, and before just for a simple Celina Runners run club. And for what it's worth, I love them. They're fantastic, and I'm looking forward to wearing them in a race soon. But I know you've tried a few other carbon plated shoes, so this one might make you have to think for a little bit. But if you had to rank the super shoes you've tried, how would you rank them, and why would your favorite be number one?
Yeah, that's you know, I think technology is changing by the month, and at the February they're supposed to be rolling out some more new shoes. I think they in Austin they just had another shoe conference. A buddy of mine went there, and he was sending some pictures of some upcoming shoes. And me personally, I get a lot of good performance out of the Alpha Flies. I really like them. Vapor Flies, which are also Nike, I like those. Between the marathon and the full, I alternate, but definitely for the marathon, I like the Vapor Flies. New Balance has some good shoes. They have the SCs, but I don't think they're legal. Their drop is a little, or offset is more, so it's like 30. But anyways, it's a good recovery shoe. Yeah, so I mean, I'm very partial to Nike. I haven't tried the Saucony, like the Endorphin Pros. I know a lot of people in my circle that I run with, they really like those a lot. And it looks like the newest version, I think, are the threes. They've did some good revisions to them.
Oh yeah, those are a good one. Yeah, for sure. How
Partial
do you
to
like
Nike, I guess.
how do you like the New Balance? I think you had the fuel cells ones.
Yes, so I had the RC Elites, and I really loved those. They were up there with the Alpha Flies, and I don't know, you find a shoe, you like it. Next thing you know, they revise it, and then you've got to go back out there and find another one. But the SCs have a max like stack cushion. It's good for my long run. My legs still feel fresh, but they have a plate. You just don't run in them. They do have a couple of other versions of it. I haven't tried those yet. But yeah, so I
Yeah,
love
and
seeing all the new technology coming through.
oh yeah, it's definitely changing the game, making it just kind of easier for people to get out the door because they're not aching in pain because these shoes are just so great. And I think it's always fun to see a faster time on your watch on the board when you come through a race, and that's what they're doing. So whether or not you think they're good for the sport, I definitely think it makes it easier and gets more people involved in the sport. Two more questions for you. We actually this first one we talked about before, and actually hadn't planned on asking you about it, but that Boston hat you're wearing is not for the Boston Red Sox, and instead is a Boston Marathon commemorative hat. So could you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, yeah. So with COVID happened. We some buddies here locally. We went and ran in October, and it was playoff season. So I didn't really realize it. My first time running Boston was 2019. So I did, wasn't. I'm a Rangers fan, even though they're not the best team. Still, I'm a Texas guy, so I represent Texas. Um, but yeah, so I didn't realize every Monday on Marathon Monday, the Boston Red Sox, they have a home game and they play midday around, I think it's a noon game or 11 game. It's an early game,
Mhm.
and their uniforms are basically in the Boston Marathon colors, the blue and the yellow and their area code there. So in October, we actually got to go to a game and see them clinch the series before the World Series. And then I picked up this hat, and I thought it was kind of cool. And I was like, hey, it's blue and yellow, and it's Boston, and so and the Red Sox. I mean, I like them, just not up against the Rangers.
Yeah, super cool hat. Love the story behind it. And as a big baseball fan, I can definitely say that I would definitely wear it for the same reasons you said. And I'm with you also. I'd rather cheer for the Rangers than the Red Sox. And now that they have Jacob deGrom, things might be working in the favor of the Rangers moving forward.
Let's
Um,
hope.
Yeah, and one last question for you before I let you go. One cool thing you do for the Celina Runners is host Wednesday's runs somewhere new every week. Whether it's the Wooden Penguin, which you mentioned, and we even met at Bongo Bo's before. It's always somewhere else, and we seem to rotate it often. My personal favorite, though, is Jimbo's Pizza, and that's kind of where my next question is going to segue us. This is going to be the most important question you'll hear all day, and really will change the outcome of this interview for some listeners. But I'd like to know your opinion. Does pineapple belong on pizza or not?
You know, being a vegetarian, I think pineapple only belongs on a pizza with jalapenos. Pineapple
Oh,
jalapenos are my favorite pizza. Yeah.
how about that? When I wrote up this question, for some reason I felt like you had gotten pineapple on your pizza before, and that makes a lot of sense. I think you've definitely gotten that at Jimbo's before, and that sounds fantastic. As a big spice fan, the combination between sweet and spicy, I would love that.
Yeah, my first time being introduced to it, I just thought it was ridiculous, and sometimes when you think about it, it still is, but after you've had it and you're used to it, yeah, it's really good. Especially
Yeah.
Jimbo's, man, they make some good pizza.
Oh yeah, shout out to Jimbo's and everywhere else we've mentioned this run. But with that, we're gonna move on. James, thank you so much for hopping on the show today, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the race goes tomorrow. I'm sure you'll pace him to a great 3:45. Excuse me.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. It should be good. We'll see how the weather goes, and just gonna have fun. 3:45 is what it is, and 3:44 to 3:45, and I'm gonna have some fun.
Absolutely, that's what it's all about. Thanks for joining me, James.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Ben.
I really enjoyed my conversation with James, and sitting here a few days after the fact, I'm happy to inform you all that James paced his 3:45 group to a 3:44:45 marathon on Saturday at the BMW Dallas Marathon. So congratulations are in order for him. I'm looking forward to seeing him tomorrow at our Celina Runners Run Club, which will be spent running through neighborhoods checking out Christmas lights. Always looking forward to that run and should be a great time. But I'm especially excited for this final segment of today's show, which features the Texas Track Dad. Before I send you to that conversation, I do want to remind you to check out my Instagram and Twitter pages at Outside the Oval, as well as his, which is Texas Track Dad on the same platforms. A lot of interesting content coming your way from mine and his. Really looking forward to that. But that's all for me this week. I'll catch you guys next week on Outside the Oval. But for now, please enjoy my conversation with the Texas Track Dad. Here joining me today is the very successful Texas Track Dad who you might have seen on social media, such as Instagram and Twitter, or his podcast, which can be found just about anywhere that you listen to your podcast. But it is awesome to have the Texas Track Dad on the show today, and I really appreciate you joining me.
Oh, yeah. No problem at all. Hey, I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, and to get things started, for those of you listening not familiar with your presence on social media, could you quickly tell them a little bit about what you do and why you are the Texas Track Dad?
Yeah, and I like that you are the Texas Track Dad. So yeah, I'm a podcaster. I have a podcast about track and field. Like I said, I started out with Elite Texas Track Girls. I pretty much was promoting young youth girls athletes in the state of Texas. I started out with that. My daughter, she also runs track. And we'll get into that more. I know there was on some of the questions how I got started, but yeah, I started. Actually, I was calling it ETTGYA at first, but you know what? It was just too much, so I just cut the youth athletes off the end and went with Elite Texas Track Girls. Then shortly I launched Texas Track Dad, which pretty much is the same concept, but it's covered worldwide. And then I talk track and field news. Also, I interview coaches, mentors, authors, athletes, trainers, pretty much anybody got their hand in track and field. I interview them, and it's been going good. If I start to talk too much, just stop me and let me know, because I can ramble a little bit.
Yeah, but absolutely. Yeah, feel free. This is all the time's yours. I really appreciate having you on. But I'm sure this next question is one you get often, but it's one I have to ask because I think there's so much potential every time I ask it to someone. But what initially got you into track and field, and in specific, the track and field scene here in Texas?
Yeah, so like I said, my daughter runs. Her name is Leah Johnson. She's been running since she was 5. So we spent a lot of time at tracks, and man, I'm telling you, wherever JO's is, that's where our vacation is, But anyway, she's been running ever since she was 5. But a couple of years ago, because I'm going into my second year with my podcast and everything, we went down to LSU. She had an indoor meet down there, right? So of course it's just athletes from all over Texas, from Louisiana, everywhere. There's top athletes everywhere. So sitting there watching this race, my daughter, she was probably up next. She had a couple more heats or whatever. But so I'm watching this race. I'm standing on the track, and it was the 200, right? Then this her name is Teresa Malone. She comes flying around this curve, right? And she just come out. I'm like, who is that? Right? Who is that? And she runs for Dragons track club, right? So she comes flying around that curve, right? And she kissed like 2 girls, and she ended up getting first on that. She got gold in that 200, right?
Oh, wow.
So I went home. I got home, and I was laying down, man. I was just like, I was on social media. I'm in a lot of track groups and whatnot, right? Mm-hmm. Nobody was talking about it. And I said, you know what? I'm about to talk about it. So I picked up my phone, first thing, I started a podcast, and that Anchor FM deal came up, right? So I downloaded that, and I told myself, I said, hey, if nobody don't listen to this, you know what? I don't care. I like talking track and field. If I got to talk to myself, it is what it is. You see what I'm saying? So yeah. So that's pretty much how I got started. And like I say, and it just took off from there. Like I said, I started Elite Texas Track Girls and took off. Then I branched off. Well, I'm still with it. It's kind of like they under the umbrella of Texas Track Dad now. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a great story. I mean, I think it kind of resonates with all of us track and field fans because that's ultimately the love and the passion that goes along with it. Just it's awesome. That's why I love the sport. And I think that's why so many great stories come from it.
Yeah,
So to follow that up, I really appreciate what you do for the track and field community. You do an excellent job featuring those in the state of Texas who have excelled in one way or another. And moving forward past that, you've been around the sport as a Texas track dad for a little bit now. So I'm assuming you've met some really excellent people, have gotten to experience a lot of wonderful things around the sport. Up until now, what have been some of your favorite experiences as a member of the track and field community in the state of Texas?
Just getting to know Olympians. A lot of times I be talking to Olympians, I don't even know they're Olympians. And they were like, dude, do you know who you just talking to? I'm like, no, who was that? They're like, yeah, you need to look him up, because I love track and, we just get to talking, and we just hit it off, and, I enjoy that part of it. Seeing like pro athletes, like my comments on Instagram, on Facebook, seeing them come in it's just amazing, man. And like I say, just getting out and meeting, the different athletes, because every athlete's different, getting to talk to the parents, because, track and field, it's a tough sport. It's a tough sport. And a lot of athletes, man, it's mental. They go through a lot, and the parents, they go through stuff too, but like I say, just getting out, just meeting people, and man, it's just fun times for me. I'm just enjoying it, man. I'm just enjoying it.
Yeah, absolutely. The people around this sport truly make it what it is today, and that's why I still do what I do, because I love meeting the people around it, and it's clear that that's the reason you like it too. And that's the thing I respect most about your platform, your podcast, and what you stand for is you're that passionate about it, and you love meeting the people around the sport. You truly love what you're doing, and as someone who feels the same way about the sport, I gotta say thank you.
Yeah, but no problem.
Having accomplished so much up until this point, what else do you hope to accomplish in the future in regards to being the Texas track dad and having the elite Texas girls account? And where do you hope this branding kind of takes you in the sport?
I seen that question and I was thinking I want to be known like worldwide type deal. I want to bring exposure to the athletes that's international as well. And that's what I've been working on too. I actually been talking to a couple athletes from Nigeria. I actually talked to a coach from France today, and I'm going to try to get her on the show. But kids everywhere need exposure, Coaches want to come on. Like I said, on my show, coaches want to come on. They want to talk about, what they do, give their opinion. And plus, I give my opinion, which is sometimes, it's Texas track dad. So that's why I tell them it's just, my opinion. But yeah, man, I just, it's really, I don't want it to end, man. I just wanted to keep growing, I just wanted to keep growing, and just like when I was out at JO's the other day, and I could just, a couple of people probably like, hey, well, I was at JO's last year, and they were like, hey, you're a Texas track dad? Like, yeah, I am Texas track dad. So, word is getting around, Word is getting around, hey, can I get a picture? I'm like, yeah, cool, no problem. And like I say, man, when I started this, man, I just doing something I love, man. And wherever it takes me, it's going to take me. I'm cool with it.
That's so awesome. That's the most important thing. You got to enjoy what you do, and it's evident that you do. And I'm so happy you've become successful doing so. And that's another thing that I feel like goes hand in hand with your Elite Texas Girls account. So I'd love to know, what was your inspiration behind creating that? So you mentioned earlier that you started that first. Kind of what was your inspiration behind starting that even before the Texas track dad became a thing?
My inspiration behind that was promoting the Texas youth athletes because, as you know, it's a lot of track and field athletes. And like I say, I spent a lot of time on social media. And it's a lot of athletes that don't get talked about that need to get talked about. You understand? You see what I'm saying? Because you got the rankings there. Normally, the top 20, you're going to be, the top 10 you really go hear about. The top 20 you hear about now and then. But what about those athletes that's coming up? You know, what about that athlete that had a good race and nobody knew about it? You know, that's why I created Elite Texas Track Girls to get them out there, to get them exposure, to get them noticed on social media by coaches, and it's working, by the way. And because they deserve it, man. They deserve it. They work hard. And they like the positivity of, behind what I do, the parents do, and it's, man, I just want everybody to be successful. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I love hearing that. As an athlete who, growing up, I loved the sports media. I always wanted to be a journalist. And I wasn't the best runner, but I always was like, wow, it would be really cool if someone was talking about me. So for someone to be doing that right now is just really a beautiful thing. And again, I thank you for doing that. But moving on, of course, this wouldn't be outside the oval without a few questions that pertain to a little something that takes place away from the track. So my first question to you might be a little bit surprised, since the focus on this podcast and what we've been talking about the entire time has been Texas track and field, or just track and field in general. But if I told you could no longer host the Texas Track Dad podcast, you could no longer be involved in the sport of track and field entirely, what do you think you would choose to do and why?
Man, that's a tough one, man. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. Because all my family, that's all we do. Like 95% of the time, that's what we do. But let's see, with that said, so you asked what would I do in my spare time to keep myself busy, or?
Yes, sir.
Oh, man. I don't know. I'll be so bored, man. I'll be so bored. I don't know. Man, I don't know, man. If I can't do it, I guess I'll be going to track meets then. Every weekend, and the show will be live.
Yeah,
I have to start something. I'll go out to some track meets, and I don't know. I'll have to come Texas Track Dad some other way.
I love that, though. At the end of the day, if you love it that much and you are putting this much work into it, you've got to love it. And that's great to hear. And I think that just shows how dedicated you are to your craft. And I really love to hear that. And having moved to Texas from Ohio in 2019, I've not been in Texas that long. But before I moved here, there were two things I knew I was going to love, two things I associated with the state of Texas above all else. Now, of course, I associated Texas with running for much of my career here. But again, we're taking things outside the oval. So I knew the stereotypical things such as the heat. I knew it was going to be hot. I knew the cowboy hats and the cowboy boots. The Dallas Cowboys were going to be big, and the barbecue is fantastic. And I love the barbecue here, by the way. But for whatever reason, the two things I first associated with Texas outside of running and the barbecue, and the first one of these might be a bit controversial, was Whataburger and In-N-Out Burger. But I do want your opinion on this. If I told you I'd pay for a meal of your choosing, but it had to be either Whataburger or In-N-Out, two of my personal favorites, what would you order? Where would you go, and why?
So I have to choose between Whataburger and In-N-Out?
Yeah, and what would you get from that place?
You know where I'm going with this, right? It's going to be Whataburger. Whataburger. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be, In-N-Out. So when they first came down to Texas, I tried it. I did cheat on Whataburger a little bit. And I called it Whataburger. I know it's Whataburger. But I did cheat and go to In-N-Out a couple of times, but it's not the same. It's a California burger. It's not a Texas burger.
Yep. Those
Whataburger all the way.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I had a guest previously today talking about that. I asked them the same question because even though Whataburger is the Texas chain for what it's worth, but In-N-Out I still always associated with Texas, and I know people love In-N-Out. So I asked them the question. They're a big fan of In-N-Out, but personally, I'm on Team Whataburger. I'm with you on that. That burger, you cannot beat it. The fries are great. And I'm a sucker for soda. A few times I drank it, and they give you that big 32-ounce soda. So I'm taking Whataburger every day in the week and twice on Saturdays.
Yeah, and then In-N-Out burger. The whole ask me if I want to eat in my car thing. I don't know, man. That's a California thing.
Yep, you're absolutely right. That's definitely a California thing. I mean, I went there one time. It was all over the place. Rightfully so. I like In-N-Out, but I'm definitely a Whataburger guy. Definitely would rather spend my money there. And as I've mentioned before, I've followed your show for a while now. I know some of the questions you like to ask the athletes you have on. I have a feeling you know where I'm getting at, so I'll come out and say it.
Wait, hold on. Wait a minute. Because I'm about to ask you that. I know what you're about to ask me.
All right, I'll let you go ahead.
My question to you is, are you faster than Texas track dad?
Now, I'm a distance guy, so I'm going to subjectively say I think I could get you in a 5K. But when we go to the sprints, I'm going to be honest, I don't know. Sprints have definitely not been my thing growing up. But I figured you would enjoy that one.
Yeah, you could definitely you could get me in a 5K because I'm not good at that. You probably you get me in the sprints too, man. I'm not fast. I'm sorry.
I figured you would appreciate that question, though. That's probably my favorite question you do ask. I saw a few Instagram clips. I've heard it in a few of your podcasts. But the last question I do want to ask you today, this one was unscripted, but since we did have the conversation before, I do want to ask, as a Dallas Cowboy fan, how do you think the rest of the season is going to go, and what would you like to see the Dallas Cowboys do next offseason if they don't win the Super Bowl this year?
Well, next offseason, I'm asking that first. I want to see them. I know we weren't able to pick up OBJ because he had that injury after the physical. We're not going to sign him this year. Mm-hmm. But that said, if he works hard and I don't know, he might sign with the Giants. I don't know. But if he's still available next year, I think we need to go ahead and try to bring him in for sure. But as far as this year, this is the only thing I want this year. The only thing. Get past the first round of playoffs. That's it. I'm not hollering Super Bowl. I'm not doing it. I just want us to get past that first round. I think we'll be good. I think we'll be all right.
Yeah, I definitely think the Dallas Cowboys are on a good trajectory. I think once you can get off that Ezekiel Elliott contract, I think things will go a lot smoother. I definitely agree. I think if you can add a receiver alongside CD Lamb, you have a quarterback already in Dak Prescott, and it's coming from a Commanders fan who hasn't had quarterback stability almost my entire life.
Commanders.
I could definitely appreciate a good quarterback in Dak Prescott. And I do think the Dallas Cowboys, maybe in a few years, but I do think their time is coming. I'm a big fan of Kellen Moore as well. As a Commanders fan, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm cheering for the Cowboys. My dad downstairs might have a heart attack if I told him that.
Come on.
But at the end of the day, it's always nice seeing the NFC East having the season they're having. I'm really excited for the next game we have in Washington against the Cowboys.
Yeah.
But with that, it's been my absolute pleasure having the Texas Track Dad on the show today. Appreciate you coming on and telling my viewers a little bit about your show and what you do.
Yeah. No problem. Guys, y'all can follow me on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Just put in Texas Track Dad and it'll get you there. And can I give a shout out real quick? Some shout outs?
Yeah, absolutely. The floor's yours.
Yeah. I just want to give a shout out to everybody who supported me from day one and who has continued to support me, who shares my content, like my content, chime in, ask me questions. Man, you guys are great. I know when I first started a YouTube page and my YouTube channel and I hit that subscribe button, I was the only subscriber. I was like, there's no way I would be able to do this. But now my page is coming up on 1,500 subscribers. We got probably got 500,000 views right now on my YouTube channel. which is really doing well on Facebook. But like I say, I'm just thankful because I have met some great people, some very great people, and they continue to support, what I do. And you too. Thank you. Thank you for the invite, and thank you for bringing me on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm speaking from everyone in Texas, everyone who likes your content. Thank you for what you do. The sport would not be what it is without you and everyone else out there who does what you do. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you for what you do. Thank you for coming on today. And I had a great time talking and getting to know you.
Hey, not a problem. We're going to have to get together when track outdoors start up. We're going to have to come on here and talk some track.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to have to do it. We're going to have to do it.
Oh, yeah, right. Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. Track season's on the way. It's so close, and I'm looking forward to next time.